right, so we are live now. If all is good, welcome. And please write in the chat if you can hear us well, if you can see us well, if all is well with you. Hi all. Hey, oh yeah, Marilyn can hear us. Very nice. Miriam, Ehsan, hello, welcome.
I'm not seeing the messages or anything. Where I'm looking at the YouTube, and I'm just seeing our two faces. What am I missing?
If you go to the studio link that I sent you, you'll see chat there. Hey Sean, hey Danielle. Good to see you.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna start in a moment, so we have 14 people at the moment, so
Perfect.
Yeah. So today, as we advertised, we are going to show you R for journalism, for journalistic purposes. We set it up in a way that actually I will be doing R, and I do not know any R. It's Jonathan who knows R. So he will be telling me what to do, and I will be asking silly questions. So it's, yeah.
I think it might be worth me saying, so Ada has got a browser version, a cloud version of R. At the end of the session, I mean, normally we share with you the data we've been using, but what we're going to do this time is we're going to share with you the link to this project. And if you want to follow through what we've been doing, you can see the same project in the state that we're at right now, and you can follow the same steps that we have been doing during this hour. And you won't need to install anything. You can do the whole thing in the cloud. You'll get a copy of R and RStudio, which is the best way of managing R. So R is the program, and RStudio is the way you control the program and see what it does for you. And we'll put some instructions after the session. We'll put them in the description for the YouTube video, so you can get into a project, get started, and follow along. So it's too complicated to get you to follow along right now, but we just want you to watch the show, ask questions, but afterwards you'll be able to go back and do exactly the same thing in this project and get exactly the same data and results.
And this video will be online as well, so you can always come back to the steps that we took. And therefore, you know, if you don't understand something or something is unclear, please ask questions. That's why we are here live with you. That's why we don't do this as a pre-recorded video in the first place.
Okay, so
I'm going to make my screen a bit bigger so you can see, and
yes,
maybe
please.
Maybe we can start, Jonathan.
Yep. So you'll see at the moment at the top it says temporary copy, but once you start working on one of the scripts, it will make its own copy in your account. You'll see that you have. So Ada has an account with RStudio, which costs nothing. And this, at the moment, it looks like a temporary copy, but as soon as she creates her own copy of the main script, it will start becoming her copy. So Ada, I'd like you to click on, first of all, let me just explain what you have here. On the left of the screen, where there's all this writing about R and what it is that's a standard prompt, and it's not very helpful. And if you only get R and you don't get RStudio, that's all you see, and it's not at all helpful. And that's where a lot of us began. And I've had R for 8 years, but I've been using it properly for about 6. And it's not that it took me 2 years to learn it. It took me 2 years to waste my time not learning it. So that's where we're helping you get right in now. And that's what I'm hoping to help Ada with right now. On the right, you have at the moment, you have 2 panes. It says environment is empty. Well, we're going to create some things which are going to go in that environment. And underneath, in the bottom right, you have, at the moment, some scripts and files. And then if you look, you see files, plots, packages, help, and so on. If we make any plots, which we might do today, some graphics, they'll appear there. The packages, so R is a language, and packages are like apps. They're tools that do specific jobs. At the moment, you can see base R is installed and running. The tick means it's running right now. But we're going to, if you click back into files, Ada, we're going to run a package. So I've downloaded it, installed it, but it's rather like you go to the shop to buy some tools, and the tools stay in your cupboard until you need them. So every time you need the tool, you have to get it out. So today we're going to be getting out one big set of tools. It's called the Tidyverse, which is an interlocking set of packages or recipes that do lots of different jobs, all the useful ones that journalists need, really. So if you click on starterscript.r, it will open the script that I started a few days ago, and I'll just show you a couple of things in here. At the top, it says library tidyverse. So if you run that, so click anywhere, click anywhere on that. And now, if you prefer, you can click on the word run to the right, and it will run it. And at the bottom, now, there it is. It has run successfully. So now Tidyverse, which is 20-something packages all running, are there working. So they're running. So now we need to get some data. Now, I was going to get a bit of choice here, but I think the best thing is you see row 6, it says F1_4. If you run that row, so now in your environment, you'll see that you've stored the address of F1_4. And Ada, you know there was a tab that I got you to open before we started. If you could just show that tab. So that is the link to F1_4, which is Air Releases Facilities. Don't touch that now, because normally if you were getting that for Excel, you'd click on that and you'd download it. But we've got a copy of, if you go back to R now, we won't go back to this that page at all. So line 6 is 2 things. It's got a copy of the URL for that file, and then I've labeled it F1_4. And now you've run it, that's saved it as a value. So we're going to use the first
so
thing
this
to get.
Is like equals?
Yes, there is sometimes you can get equals to, thank you for asking. You can get that arrow minus, looks like a little like an arrow pointing from the right to the left. And it is like an equals character, and it does mostly the same job. So it's saying everything to the right of this character, of this symbol, is labeled by whatever is on the left of this symbol. So F1_4 is what that symbol is called right now. I could have called it Ada if I wanted to, and it would still work. But you see in line 11, let's explain what's going to happen there. So I already just tested this the other day. So that says we've given it the name releases air, and then you've got the arrow. So whatever the instruction, read _CSV, and then use F1_4, meaning the value we just saved. If you run that line, and it'll take a few moments because it's a big data set, At the moment, we're not getting an error message, but it should give us, I'm hoping this is going to work, just watch at the bottom, the very bottom of your screen. That's where the magic is happening. And it's just importing the data right now. Yeah.
How big is this data set? Is it huge, probably?
68 megabytes.
Oh, yeah.
Not the world's biggest, but not small. There we go. Oh, and it's come in as, oh dear, I hope it's not going to work properly. So we will actually use a different one because it's come in as one variable and that's wrong. So let's just go back to line. Let's do something different. Let's get the water releases, and I know this works. So if you run line 7, that's the link to the same. So now you run line 15.
Yeah.
And we'll just tell people. So you'll see that all that's changed is that's saying, referring to F24. And wait a moment. It's just taking its time again because it's also quite a big one. So we're going to look at releases of pollutants into water.
That's the F4,
and when it's ready,
this one.
F24, yeah, which is only 45 megabytes, so much smaller.
Hey, there it comes.
And it comes. Okay, that's the slowest part of the session. But you see, it's 240,000 rows, 16 variables. So if you look at the top right, in fact, let's get rid of the air one because we don't need that. So at the very bottom, because we won't need this in our permanent script. So at the very bottom prompt on the left, just type this RM, open bracket. The bracket touches the M. So
like
all one word. Yep. And then put releases air. It'll start to autofill. Yeah. Now run it. You can just hit return.
Oh, perfect.
And it removes it. So RM means remove, and that's a standard instruction.
In the data, right? That's nice. That's
neat. Okay, so we got rid of it. We don't need that because actually that is sitting on your in virtual memory. So you're using up a bit of space, even though we're not looking at that part.
I was really.
Oh, okay. Okay, what you've done, that's useful.
I clicked it.
Okay, so just to say, I want you to, in a moment, I want you to shut it. But just if you click on where it says releases water on the right, like you just did, you have sort of opened a little spreadsheet that you can do all the usual spreadsheet things. You can sort the columns. You can even use little filters and stuff, but we don't want to do that. Otherwise we would just stay with Excel. So we're going to assess, but you might as well have a little, I was going to get you to use the program to look around your data. So ask me some questions now that you haven't seen the data very much. So what would you like to know about what's in that data?
I need to know what my columns are and what are in the columns.
Okay.
Sort of a sample of the data. I would like to see a sample of the data.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so just delete rows 17 through 20 because we're not going to use those. We're going to write some new ones. Okay, so we've now got the water releases into water. You'd like to see, well, first of all, let's find out the names of your different columns. So make a new line anywhere. I usually space it out just so it doesn't get too cramped. So 17 or 18 will do. It doesn't matter where you put the new line. Put the word names and always lowercase. Open bracket, releases water. Close bracket. So just to tell you what that is, names is a function. It's releases water you need to choose. Yeah. And whatever you're doing something to goes in the brackets. And if you run that, it then tells us what the names of all those different columns are.
I have pressed Shift-Enter to run.
That's correct. Okay. Yep, you can do that. Or you can go up to the Run button, but I always go Shift-Enter as well. Or Control-Enter will also work.
Oh, yeah, Control-Enter, yeah.
And you don't need to highlight everything. You just need to have your cursor touching or in that row, which is quite helpful. It saves a lot of time. Okay, so now we know the names of the columns. What else would you like to know? You said something like a sample.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you two ways of looking at a sample. The obvious one is to go head, H-E-A-D, open brackets, and then releases water. Run that, and it shows you the top 6. If you wanted more than 6, you can put head releases water, 10 or 100 or whatever you want. But it shows you the top 10. So if you do that now, and if you want to see the bottom of the table, you can put tail releases water, and it'll show you the last 6 or 10 or whatever. So you can see a little bit, and if you it's not a great way of seeing the data, but it gives you an idea of what's in there. The other way of doing it is yes.
I see only 5 columns, 6 columns here. 5 columns.
That's why I was just about to show you another way of doing it, which is a little bit easier to read, and that is glimpse, like having a glimpse of something. GLIMPSE, all lowercase.
Glimpse, I like that.
Yeah, open bracket releases water.
Okay. Oh, all right.
So now it shows you, it's basically transposed it. So you've got the column names on the left and a little sample of what's in the top of those columns on the right.
Okay.
Also in the middle, in the gray bit, you can see what it's given as characters, numbers, and you can see what some of them are called logical. So they're yes or no, NA or whatever.
So we have dates, we have some countries they're reporting here, sector code, which I don't know what is, and the sector name, which is probably tied to the sector code.
It is exactly that. And the main activity.
Facility name, city, latitude, longitude. Oh, confidentiality reason. I think that's might be interesting.
Yeah, it could be.
Target release.
And we've got
and pollutant and a more confidential reason. Okay.
Yeah. So there is every facility in Europe registers their existence with the European Environment Agency, and depending on what they make and how often they make it, they calculate how much they release of every pollutant. So if you do a common process like making beer or steel or producing glue, you will release a certain amount of this and a certain amount of that per ton of whatever you make. And so that's how it's calculated. Mostly they're calculated. Sometimes if you have a really modern plant, you're allowed to do observed, meaning, okay, we're really good, come and see us. We don't make as much CO2 as everybody else because we've got a better plant than everybody else. But mostly they're calculated amounts of kilograms of stuff, pollutant. What would you like to know journalistically now about this data?
Yeah, I really want to know what is the most frequent pollutant.
Frequent or most released in terms of tons?
Most released in terms of both actually. I want to know both because sometimes it can be that like you release a lot of it, but it's not that harmful, and sometimes you can release just a little bit of it, but it can be really toxic. I also would like to know what are the most often released things.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little string of things to do, and then I'll explain what it is. So first of all, write releases water.
Yeah.
And now you're going to do a space and then Control, Shift, and M for more.
Control, Shift, and M.
Now that gives you a very strange little percent greater than percent, and that is a symbol meaning a pipe. And it's saying take whatever I do and do this, and then do this and do this. So it says, what we've said so far is take releases water and then count, open bracket, pollutant with a capital P, because that's how it appears in the pollutant. Let's just see how many times each pollutant appears just as a name. So pollutant, comma, within that bracket, you were too quick for me. Pollutant, comma, sort equals true. through all capitals.
Ah, yeah. All right.
Okay, so now we see that zinc and compounds appears most often.
Yeah.
But actually,
Carbon.
wouldn't it be useful to see the amount that that's the number of times it appeared, the number of lines that pollutant appears within the 240,000. So let's do exactly the same code. So make a copy of that, and then we're going to change it with one thing. After pollutant, inside the bracket, after the word pollutant, but before the word sort, so after the comma, put WT. So after the comma, WT equals, and I'll explain this, releases. And I think it's capital R for releases because that's one of the columns. That's where I think it's in with capital Y, comma. Yes, it is. It's confirmed it with an autofill. Now run that line.
Oh.
It
doesn't do anything.
Wait. Yes, it will. Hold on. Releases. Releases pollutant. WT. Just make a space for WT. I think it's releases. Just look at the names again. If you just
shouldn't we do sum here, or should we still
no.
count?
This is a count. Let me explain.
We're counting and then we
are multiplying by the contents of the release column. But I can't remember the name of the column.
No,
there
right.
it is.
Sorry. Yeah,
I was right. That's okay. Yeah. So also, if you want to know what count was doing for you, if you go into the bottom, well, you could put it in the script anyway. Put question mark count, no space, just question mark count, and run it.
Oh yeah. Count the observation for each group.
So it tells you what it's doing and how it works.
Frequency waves.
So count has done us a very simple kind of pivot table. In one line, it's saying, okay, group the pollutants together, every reference to each pollutant as a group, and then multiply by the amount of kilos of each release. So we saw, what was it? The top one was chlorides or something?
Yeah, the total was zinc here, but here it disappeared.
Yeah, chlorides. Yeah, because chlorides is the heaviest. I'm quite surprised because, of course, this is water. I've spent a lot of time with the air releases. And air releases is obviously CO2 is the biggest one by a lot. So it's quite, yeah.
Chlorides.
And look at that's not just 1 year. So let's, I don't know which years are in here. So let's just do another way of looking at the data. If you go back just into the top left, under where you put count, doesn't matter. Put summary, SUMMARI, and then brackets, and then the name again, releases water.
Yeah.
What it does is it takes each column and it just tells you everything about that column. If it's just characters, it just tells you how many there are. Like country name, it just says the characters. So it doesn't do anything. But anything with numbers in, it takes the maximum, the minimum, the median, the mean, and the quartiles. So we can see that the reporting year, the minimum, so the earliest is 2007, and the maximum is 2023. So that's 16 or 17 years of data. So we might want to see, individual years and that sort of thing. So we might want to do a different kind of pivot table, really. But don't let me put words in your mouth. What would you like to know now? From this data?
Like if it was really me now doing a journalistic research, right? I would probably move away from the data set at this point and go into learning a little bit more, like what are chlorides actually doing in water, and
Yeah, but
nitrogen and and things. Just to put that out, that not all the answers are in the data always. And now,
because this is an R session, I'm going to insist that you come up with questions.
I would like to know whether there are differences between countries in these releases.
Okay, so now I think what we'll do is this count verb, if you like, function, is a very quick and easy kind of pivot table. But let's do a proper pivot table in the sense of something that resembles what we might have done in a spreadsheet program. So what I tend to do is I create a new object. What we've done so far, we've just created a temporary thing by putting releases, water, and then do this. The results of that inquiry just appear at the bottom. And when we close the program, we won't see them again until we run that line next time. Well, we can see it by scrolling, but really we haven't got easy access. But we want to create a table we could perhaps share with our editor or with the graphics team or whatever. So let us do something where I'm going to create a new object, or objects is what you've got as the data itself. So you would need, I always give it the name of what I'm looking for. And so it was sort of national totals or something like that. We'll call it national. So nice short name, national. Yeah, call it national totals. So this is going to be like doing a pivot table. So now we do the arrow, like you saw. Oh, if you want to do it more easily, Alt minus will do the same thing, but it's two keys, just like doing less than or minus. Okay, national total. So take releases water. So what we're saying is create a new thing called national totals, taking releases underscore water, and then, so that's Control Shift M. Now drop a line. So that should normally go at the end of a line when you're going to create a new object. So just think, what are we trying to do? We're going to bring the countries together. So we'll say group by, open brackets, and it's say country name. I think if you start writing country name, it'll autofill. Yeah, country name. Oh, it's lowercase c and upper n. Okay. Group by country name. Do you want to know anything? Oh, should we have reporting year as well?
No.
Okay, good. Excellent. Right, so we're just going to group it by country name. So you don't need anything else inside those brackets. No comma, just a closed bracket. And now we need another pipe, and then. So Control Shift M and drop another line. And then we say summarize. And I'll explain when we finish this. And it'll take English or American summarize. You can Z or E, so that's fine. Summarize. So we create a new variable. So total. So the word total equals sum. So SUM. Open bracket releases, which is with a capital, because that's the name of the column. That's the one. And there should be two closed brackets because you've had two open brackets. That's correct. And then drop another line. So pipe. Sorry, pipe. Control Shift. Yep, pipe will always be at the end of a line. It doesn't seem to, I don't know if it works at the beginning of a line, but I don't think so. And now we might as well arrange them. So arrange, open bracket, DESC, so descending, open bracket, another bracket, and say total. So an open bracket after
total?
this.
Like that?
Yep. And there should be two closed brackets.
Yep.
And run all that. So just put your cursor anywhere touching that and then press run or do Control Enter.
Whoa. Okay.
And up in you've now got a little thing called national totals over to the right called, if you click on that, you should see, there you go. So Germany, so this is just by tonnage. We don't know what it is. But what we could do, so we can see that Germany, for whatever, is polluting, is doing the most just by weight. Of course, some of that stuff.
Can we have a look at the pollutants themselves?
Yes. Do you want to do the pollutants in the countries, or do you just want pollutants on their own?
Yeah, in the countries, yeah.
So before we go further, just let me explain that what we've done is we've built a little, you recognize that like a pivot table, right?
Yeah,
it's giving you the totals there. So those 3 lines always go together in that order, group by. So first of all, pull them together under, in this case, country name. Then you have to summarize. If you do group by, you must summarize. It's just like if you make a pivot table, you've got to put something in the values. Otherwise, why have you made a pivot table? You just have a list of what's in your pivot table. So you need to make it do something with those groups. So you grouped it by the country name, and then you've got to add up something or count something. So in this case, we've added up all the releases for each country. And then you might as well run it as a range. You don't have to do a range, but mostly you want to see it in descending order. So it is in descending order of your new variable, which is total. So in order to save a little bit of time, what you can do is copy those 4 lines, 33 through 36, and paste them underneath, and change the word country name into pollutant in line 39.
But I want both. Do
you want both?
Yeah, I want
Okay,
both.
country name, which would you like? Do you want, I think country name, comma, pollutant, but you can try it the other way around as well. Yeah, if you start writing pollutant, it'll autofill. Okay, yeah, run that.
Okay.
Again, it doesn't matter where you put the. So now you've got natural, we've just called it the same actually. So it's new national totals with 3 variables. And there we go. Okay, so it seems that chlorides are the major one everywhere.
Yeah. Also lots of nitrogen in the UK, which is probably farming.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Do you want to find out? While we're doing it, we're kind of building another question each time. Do you want to add in the sector?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good
now
idea.
you're going to have to remind me of the name of. So if you just the quick way of doing this, down the bottom where it's not going to be in your script, just write names releases water again at the very bottom.
Yeah, and
so because the one we want is EPR sector name. Yeah. Okay. So yes, copy that. So group by pollutant. Maybe pollutant. Yeah, do that. Try that.
All right. Yes, and it's overrides, and it's nice.
Yeah, and we've just given it the same name. So we've overwritten the old one, but now we're seeing, okay, so the chemical industry in Germany is,
a chemical industry, and then it's all chlorides and nitrogen. Oh, it's wastewater management. Okay. All the wastewater management is releasing nitrogen into water.
So why don't we, I tell you what, sorry, I said I wouldn't put words in your mouth. Why don't we look at the waste and wastewater management? This will show us how to filter. Should we just look at them?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so let's make a new subset. So we call it wastewater. I always give it a name that I'm going to remember. Remember, everything you do in a script is like a note to your future self.
True.
So you want to explain to yourself or to your editor, what does this mean? It's no good calling it, Brian today, because you'll never remember what Brian was for. So we call it sensible name like wastewater management. So guess what you're going to put now? Yes, an assignment arrow, and we're going to take releases water. And this time, you're going to do a pipe. God, you're learning very quick. Next line will say filter.
Filter. Yeah. Wait, and then I would say the EPTR sector name.
Correct.
Equals.
Yeah, but now I'm afraid I'm going to have to correct you with 2 equals. Equals. Because otherwise what you're doing is you're making an equivalent. You would be redefining it. But in fact, you're saying in a filter, when you find this name, do you see what I mean? It's quite, if you're looking for it in a filter, you must put 2 equals. Otherwise, you're reassigning it to a new name.
And now, do I use
You need a quote mark. You need to put an open quote, and then paste in. Did you copy that name?
No.
You might be quicker to go back to, what's it called?
Here.
Waste. That. So take a copy of that.
All right.
Okay. So if we just run that, we'll get a new thing called wastewater management. And you'll see that it's almost, well, it's more than half the entries. Yeah.
So wastewater management is probably the largest pollutant
It's
release.
one of the largest releases into water. Yes, it's well over half. So now we could say, well, we can now just sort of, we've done that bit of filtering, so we've now got one that only deals with wastewater. So we could go back to starter script and do something like we were doing before, but this time we're just looking at the wastewater management. I mean, we could do this all in one go if you wanted to ask it, to do national totals of wastewater. You could just run, you could put a pipe at the end of line 44 and then carry on. Or we've created an object, wastewater management, which we can keep going back to. That is our wastewater only. So we're going to say, I would say something like national wastewater or something like that, because we'll do a national totals of wastewater. Yeah. And so you've done the assignment, and then group by. What do you want to do? Pollutant or country or both?
Both. Yeah.
So you're copying line 39, but you don't need the sector name because we know the sector name.
Pollutant, and then
anything else? Yeah. And then
basically
summarize
this, right?
Yep. Take a copy of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Run that.
Okay. I have another data set here.
Yeah. So now you've got to. I should say to people listening, we don't always have to do. I know a lot of people have learned from don't bother creating new objects, but I tend to because I can come back to them later. But some people just create them in the terminal at the bottom of the screen and just have a look at them. But if you want to keep them, for example, we could turn that into a CSV file if we wanted and send it to somebody.
I think this is a neat view because you can also sort and filter if you want to do something quickly. So okay, total nitrogen. So it looks like it's mostly chloride and nitrogen. If I wanted to check if I'm correct, like what is the pollutants? Can I try, like, in that case?
What do you want to do?
I would like to know what sort of pollutants wastewater management creates, in general.
Oh, okay. So what you could do is wait a minute. You're learning too fast. Well, I'll show you a quick way of doing this. So before that, in line 51, you just started. Write the word, because we're going to. Yes, you're right. We're going to operate on that. So put unique.
Yeah.
Open bracket. Wastewater management, and then put dollar.
Dollar. Oh yeah.
And then type pollutant. So what you've done is you're saying, okay, show me. It's going to make you a list, one each of. So wastewater management gives 78 different pollutants.
And if I wanted to have them sorted by their count.
So you could go and do wastewater management, write a new line. So wastewater management, and then, so pipe, Control Shift M.
Yeah.
Count.
Yeah. It's the count pollutants.
Comma, sort equals true. For some reason, if you don't put sort equals true, which implies sort equals false, you will get it in alphabetical order. And now you've done it by sorting it by descending total. Well, that's the number of references. It's not the amount of kilos.
No.
But in terms of the number of times, say, total nitrogen comes up.
Organic carbon, zinc, phosphorus, nickel, copper, lead. Ow.
Which one's that? Oh, lead, yeah.
Yeah, lead, sorry. Lead.
Yeah.
That's not great. Arsenic also not, by the way.
Yeah, and I think mercury's in there. It's not in the top 10, though.
Mm-hmm.
So you notice, just to point out, you notice at the bottom there it says plus 68 more rows.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, there are 78 pollutants. But if you want to see what they are, this is like a preview, but this is why sometimes we create an object, because we want to look all the way down that object and keep it. So if we want to make that what you just did an object, maybe call it list pollutants. So in front of 55, wastewater pollutants, and then just do an arrow. So list pollutants, arrow. So just put, that's it. Put the arrow there.
Like that.
Yeah. And then run that. It should appear. There you go. It's now at the top of your list of objects. Oh, yeah. So it makes you a neat little table. So now you can.
If I want next to this counts, I also want the heaviness or the amounts. Is that possible?
You want that as well?
Yeah. I want both.
Okay, I think you can. Well, I would do this in what we did as the pivot table before. So you need, if you take, let's go back to the one that created national wastewater. Yeah. So if you find the one, so we just add into that where it says summarize total summary after releases closes. Now wait. After so in line 48, after releases but before the bracket, put a comma. So we're going to create something else. So I would change total. Say call that total releases. In 48, change that to total releases.
Total. What do you mean?
At the end of the word total, just change it to total releases, or all one word. Just make it total releases. That. Yeah. Equals sum that. And then after then it says releases, close bracket. After releases, close bracket, put another comma.
Like this?
Yeah. And then put n equals, and this is going to look weird, n open bracket, close bracket.
Oh.
So n always counts how many there are, and it used to confuse me because it's so simple. Just make a little space. I like a little bit of space. N equals n. So you're going to get a new column that's called n, and it's going to display the count of how many times. So it's going to it should show you in one column how many kilos, and in the other. So I'm just thinking total releases. Yeah, that'll do. So if you run that, it should work, I hope.
Without the country name here, though.
You just want the pollutant. Okay, yeah. So then let's give it a new name and just call it wastewater count or something like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll overwrite the old one.
Yeah. Wastewater count.
Run that. What have I done? I've done total.
Yeah.
Total release. So the descend total release is lovely.
Yeah. So that's where you
that
see.
That should now work.
It actually tells you what is wrong, of course. Yeah. Okay. Wastewater count. Oh, great.
And that's what you get. You see, the total. It's giving us the total in algebraic.
It's this mathematical representation, yeah.
Let me show you how to get rid of that. So we just need to put it at the top of your script because you want to run it for the whole day, for the whole session. So I don't know why it was all right before, but we can get rid of that. So if you just write options, this is just one of those things you have to learn. Options equals, sorry, options open, I beg your pardon, options open bracket, SciPen, SCIPEN.
Like that?
SCI, like science, CISCIPEN equals
Yeah.
999.
999?
Yep, run that. Nothing will happen. Now go back and rerun the one that you just ran. The last block you ran in 47.
Yeah.
No, the 47.
Yeah. I think that's what I ran.
Okay, and now if you go back to that, it should. Yeah. So that SciPen thing, it took a friend of mine several days to find that solution. It's one of those things I've just learned it at that point, and you sometimes need it. If it keeps giving you that notation, scientific notation, SciPen, so scientific penalty is 999, and I don't know why it's 999, but it says please don't do this. So options SciPen equals 999 will get rid of that for you.
Sometimes
crazy but true.
If things work, just don't
ask why.
Don't ask why. Jonathan, we're actually, I see, 45 minutes in the session, so it's time for questions, I think, if people have any. Or
before questions, I would just say that there is a tutorial based on similar data to this that I've already written on, and I will give when we put the link in the description of the YouTube video. There will be also a link to this tutorial, which runs in a cloud version of R, just like this session. And you can go a lot further. There's a lot more instructions. It's all written out. So if you've missed a step here, you don't understand it, don't worry, you'll be able to practice it by using that tutorial, and we'll give you the link to that tutorial as well.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
So, questions.
This was fun. I like R.
Because, of course, viewers, you know that in a couple of weeks, I think it is, Ada will be doing the same compliment to me, which is teaching me Python from zero. Yeah. And that could be blood, but you never know.
Don't worry, I'll be gentle.
Oh, there's a question from Rita. I was wondering if we can use R for data viz. Yes. I first encountered R many years ago when more than 10 years ago. Somebody said, oh, R is very good for visualization. And I looked it up online, I downloaded R, and I pressed the icon, and I understood nothing. And it took me 6 years till I made the visualization I was thinking of making. But by then I'd already published the paper I was writing. So it is very good for doing visualization. We could, if you like, just do one quick one. Can we we got time? Yeah. So let's just take, how about those national totals? That'll just work.
Yeah.
Can you just show me national totals? I should remind myself what's in there, and then I know what we'll do.
This is the sector.
Oh, yes, this will work. Okay, so let us do one quick thing with that. So if you click, so we're going to use a sub-package of the Tidyverse called ggplot. GG stands for Grammar of Graphics. The Grammar of Graphics was a paper written, I think, 25 years ago, where somebody explained how any graphic with statistics had to have 3 elements. So there was a grammar. You have to tell whatever computer, whatever program, you have to tell it what data you're using, what is your X and your Y, and what is what design you want. Do you want a bar? Do you want a column? Do you want a pie chart, etc.? So ggplot was born as a way of doing this within R, and it was the very first Tidyverse package. And so if you go back I know what you're doing. It's the layered grammar graphics is one of the things. There is a paper you can still buy for expensive amount. So we're going to say, so take, what was it called? With national totals.
Don't we need to import ggplot first, or?
No, we're just going to run it. It's already running because it's part of tidyverse. So we ran, so yeah. So we'll say national totals. Pipe. Sorry, yeah, and then, so pipe, new line, ggplot, open bracket, and now we put AES. That means aesthetic. I don't know why we have to do that, but open bracket. So the first thing expecting is X equals country name.
Like double equal?
I think it, no.
Just normal equal.
Yeah, it's not a filter. It's country name.
Yeah.
Comma, Y equals total, or whatever we called it then. What do we call it? Total?
Total, yeah.
Yeah. And then, now this is the confusing thing. But instead of a pipe, we use the simple plus sign. This is because ggplot was the very first package and it only uses pluses. And the author of the package says, I'm not going to change it. You know, we should be using pipes. But so now, and you think, well, why aren't the pipes pluses? But I don't know. Anyway, so put a plus and now a new line. And so we've told it what the X and the Y are. So we want to say geom, so GEOM, so the geometry, underscore col, COL. COL, you can choose that, and it'll just have open and close brackets for now.
Okay.
And run that.
Oh, easy.
And then it should appear. It'll take a moment because there's quite a lot there.
I have an error message. Mapping must be created with IS. You should apply it now.
Yes. Oh, it should be two after Y equals total, 2 brackets, not 1. My mistake. Line 55.
Yes, of course.
We need a second bracket closure.
Okay, so and the geom is.
That's correct. One bracket open, 1 bracket shut, and you also get rid of that other. That's it. That's it. Now run that.
Okay. Yay. Cool.
Okay, so that's, I need to do a bit of tidying up, like all those names at the bottom overrun and thing. But let me also show you, we can also add an extra thing. So just to show you an extra way of simplifying things. So after geom col, put another plus. So in line 56, there should be a plus. And now line 57, put facet, FACET underscore wrap with a W, facet wrap. VARS.
Sorry?
Inside VARS, variables, VARS.
Oh, yeah.
Open bracket. And then you'll use that thing which is called, what was it? It's the name of the sector. So EPRT, just start writing capital EP and it should autofill.
No.
Nope. What? Just go back to national totals at the top. I can't remember what that one. EPRTR underscore sector name. That name.
EPRTR.
So that's going, and I'll show you what that does.
Find it here. EPRTR sector name here. All right. Oh,
okay.
Cool.
So then it makes you lots of mini ones. So the facet is, it's wrapped because it's put them in rows, and then every time it gets to the end of the row, it drops another line. So when I'm exploring data, I often use this because I quickly say, oh, right, so the chemical industry was sort of getting better. Anybody getting worse? No, you can see all those different. So there's really only three to worry about. The chemical industry has been improving from a high base. Oh no, sorry, not over. So I need to put the years in as well. So just watch it. That's just chemical industry in certain countries. Actually, let's just go back inside line 55,
Yeah.
just to make it easy to look at. After y equals total, put a comma and put.
Oh, I can't really hear you, Jonathan.
Oh, I haven't said anything
Sorry.
yet. So put
Oh.
fill. So FILL equals, and I'm going to answer one of the questions in a minute. F equals, and put country name again, same spelt the same way, lowercase c, uppercase n. Fill equals country name. Run that. So now it'll make it colorful.
Hey.
There we go.
I really like ggplot.
Okay, so Sean says, how do you identify which data sets are best suited for handling with R? First thing, R is very good at handling big data. You can, what you saw here, we were using 240,000 rows. I've used more than 1 million rows and then filtered from that million in a way that I couldn't do in Excel. ggplot is almost like a language of its own. Learning all the intricacies of ggplot, you can do almost anything you want to do. So R is very good at dealing with large data sets. The ggplot is very good at all sorts of aspects of making visualizations, depending on what you want to make. It's better than Excel in so many ways. I couldn't list them all, but mainly is the flexibility that you can create filters and you can pull out. It's much easier to just write exact instructions rather than relying on the presets, which actually Excel is built around, certain ways of filtering. It includes, and other ways of filtering it doesn't include. No, you can work out what you want to use. You can use things like regular expressions very easily in R. So we could, if we were using regular expressions, pull out certain phrases in those sector names or whatever. In much more complicated data, you can be looking for specific words in a column and then filter by that, and then do the pivoting and the visualizing. Excuse me. So it's a couple of things. So ggplot is very good for the visualization. It's the size and flexibility. So size of the data, the flexibility. And the really important thing, we didn't really start with why you would use any scripting language as opposed to a something like Excel or Google Sheets, is that you can repeat this any number of times. So firstly, let's imagine that this data comes out once a month and Ada wants to run something on water management statistics every month. She only has to write the script once, and next month she'll just download the latest data with the first line of her script and do everything again the same way. There's no repetition in the sense of I've got to type it all out again. She keeps that script runs. Equally, if I was training somebody in Excel, they've got to remember all the steps I gave them. Ada can run this script again tomorrow and it'll still work, and she will gradually understand it, as she uses it again and again. But if there's something really complicated, I could send it to her and say, well, I haven't got time to explain it, but just run these 4 lines and it'll do what you need. So that's an option as well. So running any scripting language means that you can do it repetitively. You can, we might not touch this script for another 3 months, and then it'll still be there. We get new data and we go, boop, 10 seconds, and we've done all this analysis all over again. I hope that helps.
Well, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining us today. In the next session, it will be me teaching Jonathan Python. We won't be doing really vanilla Python. We will be doing pandas library, which is very similar to R, but it works a little bit different. And we also will use a different environment, which will be notebooks, so stay tuned. In the description of the video, there's a little feedback form. If you could fill that in for us. We would be very grateful because it helps us getting better. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today. Jonathan, if you want to add something still?
I will, just to repeat what I said, I will write a slightly longer than usual description, link in the description that will take you to some further instructions how to get into this. Kickstart R was the name of the project. So you get the same instructions. You'll see the same first script that Ada started with. I will probably add in the script that you've now got, Ada, if you email it to me. Oh, I have to tell you separately how to download it. But it's not difficult. So you can have a copy of this script, so you can do exactly what we've done, and then look at it in your own time and see how it works. And then there'll be a link to the tutorial that's a lot longer than this. It's about 3 hours of video that you can watch to get a lot more steps through this kind of environmental data.
Sounds amazing.
And it'll be available tomorrow.
Well, keep an eye out, and I hope to see you in the next session. And if you decide to go further with R, good luck, and get in touch with us if you have questions.
And enjoy.
Have a lovely evening. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us. Bye all.
All right.